You are on the clock in your rookie draft, and the run on quarterbacks and wide receivers has come to an end. You're now faced with the decision of do you take the first tight end off the board or the first running back, leaving you with the option of Brock Bowers or Jonathon Brooks. Who is the right pick? Stay tuned to the Fantasy Football Universe to find out. And we are back. Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Universe. I am Aaron St. Dennis. Follow me everywhere on social media at FF Mad Scientist, joined by Jeremy Schulman at FF_Rebel, and Jesse Muller at JMuller05. Oh, he doesn't do anything fun. Boo, boo,
boo this guy. Boo.
Boo this man.
Welcome back into the next edition of 2024 Rookie Faceoff. We have our one and only where we cross positions here. This is just one where I wanted to include Bowers. I wanted to include Brooks. And when looking at a lot of the drafts, they're going around the same spot, 108, 109, 110. And it's like, it seems to be a common theme. Once the top three receivers, top four quarterbacks, I guess. Yeah, 4 quarterbacks, 3 receivers. We get to the 108 and it's like, do I want to dip into the first tight end, first running back? Some people have gone to the next tier of receivers. I think I prefer to either go Bowers or Brooks here, but that's a conversation for another day. So we're going to look at these guys. This is going to be a unique one. Most of this is going to be graded on a curve. So like when we go size, for example, yeah, no shit, Brock Bowers is bigger. But relative to the rest of the tight ends versus Brooks relative to the running back. So you got to keep that in mind. We're kind of grading on a sliding scale here. If you want the full write-up of this one, head over to fantasyfootballuniverse.com. Stay tuned at the end of the video. I will have the videos, the sneak peeks for Brock Bowers and Jonathon Brooks, both linked somewhere here on the screen. It will come up and you can just click on whichever one you'd like to learn more about. Like I said, we've got all sorts of stuff. We've got the other sneak peeks and rookie profiles. We've got the View to a Pick series where we go through pick by pick and kind of go with some general draft strategy here for the rookie drafts. But let's get into our first one here, Bowers versus Brooks. All right. Brock Bowers posted the best single season stat line of any tight end in this draft class. No shit. And that was in his worst season of his 3 years. So let me run that back for you again without the cursing in there. His worst season in the 3 years of Georgia was still better than the career season of every other tight end in this class. And I'm not the Brock Bowers guy. I hate taking a tight end in the first round of rookie drafts. I will say that over and over again.
It's not fun now, Aaron.
That's enough out of you. All right. He topped 50 receptions, 700 receiving yards, and 6 touchdowns in all 3 of his seasons. That is elite for a tight end. Like, that's an impressive feat for a receiver every year, but for a tight end to do it, that's awesome. He's been a stud since his freshman year and is the go-to target in the Bulldogs offense, even over the receivers like Ladd McConkey, who somehow was also a first-round pick, with lower numbers than Bowers. He's only 21 years old, so he hasn't even fully developed in here, and he's probably going to get bigger and better. Did not participate in any of the pre-draft process, as we've seen in our little investigation here. He sustained a slight hamstring issue in the training for the combine, so he sat out the combine, sat out Georgia's Pro Day, and he just waited around and became the 13th overall pick. We flip over here to Jonathon Brooks. He's a bit of an enigma. Spent 3 years at the University of Texas, playing full-time only in his senior year. To be fair, he was buried behind the greatest running back of all time, Roschon Johnson. Oh, and Bijan Robinson was there also for one or two of those years. I guess he's good too, but, you know, Roschon. Senior year showed off his elite potential and skill when he does actually, get on the field. The only issue that killed him here, sustained an ACL injury in November and sent his fantasy value into a tailspin. All indications are that he will be a full go for training camp and ready for week 1. Although typically these injuries take, it's year 2 before they regain their full explosiveness. So when you read these articles or reports that say he's going to be ready for training camp, we said that with J.K. Dobbins, a lot of these guys, just because they're ready doesn't mean they're themselves again. So if this is rookie picks, don't ever be drafting a rookie of any kind with the intention of them being an instant producer year 1. I get it does happen at running backs, but
Yes.
This isn't the pick you want to make if you need a win now running back. Trade this for James Conner, some shit like that. The other thing I want to say here, I guess, before we even get into it, who you take, this is the one where since it's 2 different positions, I will say there is some positional or even league context here. If you are a team who is in a definitive rebuild this year, turn this fucking episode off and just draft Brock Bowers. If you're in a rebuild, I don't care how good Brooks looks, don't waste your fucking first-round pick on a running back in a rebuild. You should have no running backs on your goddamn roster. Just take Bowers, wait it out. He'll be a stud at some point, and you're good. But in the event you're a neutral team here, or that you are a good team, let's see how it plays out. We'll go with the player comps, and good God, I think aside from the one where I had Adunze and Neighbors compared to what JJ and Jamar Chase, these are 2 of the loftiest comps I've come up with. We had Bowers, his player comp, and just the overall way he wins is that of George Kittle, which I absolutely love. I love me some George Kittle, and perhaps even more impressive, the comp I got for Jonathon Brooks is former KC running back Jamal Charles.
Oh my God, don't get me started. Oh, Charles
Jesse,
is like, I fucking love Jamal Charles. Don't even get me started.
So what
Charles is the most efficient running back of all time, by the way. Don't even get me started.
Go off, Jesse. Go off.
Yeah, Jamal Charles is like the single-handedly most impactful running back in basically the history of football. The way he was, I can get on a tangent about this, but I'm just gonna shut up. He's awesome.
Well, he only played 7 or 8 seasons too. Mm-hmm. He was taken too soon from us. So a few of these elite NFL players in the last 2 decades have just retired early. Charles was one of them. Sadly, I think he was 30 or 31 years old now.
Yeah, he had an injury that really derailed his career. It's just done from there.
Well, that's how Brooks is starting his career. But you didn't like my comps. I mean, those are lofty comps. And once again, these are ceiling comps. These are ceiling comps. I don't expect him to be Jamal Charles. But what do you guys have for comps?
Yeah, I think he's closer to. Oh, you go ahead, Jimmy.
No, I was just going to say, we're comping George Kittle here, a white tight end to white tight end Brock Bowers. What are we doing here?
Fucking do this again. Most of the tight ends are white. Leave me alone.
Oh, that's true. I don't know. I feel like he's a bit more Mark Andrews, right? I feel like he's a little more fluid in his route.
Oh, because Mark Andrews isn't white. Like, what the fuck? What are we doing here?
I was going to say Kyle Pitts can't block. So.
Yeah, I mean, he's also got 6'6", 250. So, about that. I think that's fair. I actually think Kittle's fair because Kittle's a little bit undersized, and so is Bowers. But they're both freak athletes. I know we don't have the testing data on Bowers. But, dude, just watch the man play. He's an incredible athlete. So I think it's fair if you want to chase that as the ceiling. I saw it for Sanat. Someone said this, and I freaked out online. I was like, do not say Ben Sanat is George Kittle. He's not that athletic. No. Can we stop this? Kittle's been one of the best tight ends, overall complete tight ends the past decade. He's incredible.
When Travis Kelce was interviewed... Go.
I just want to be careful about saying Kittle, though, because he's the best blocking tight end in the entire league. Brock Bowers is not that. I think there's a reason that he's on the Raiders with Michael Mayer already there, set to be the inline guy. So that's my hesitation with the comp. We know Kittle has the hands. We know he has the route running ability. He's a freak, but he's an all-around guy. Brock Bowers isn't there yet. I doubt he gets there. And that's why I was thinking Pitts, just because of the elite receiving ability. He's got a lot to work on with the blocking.
Yeah, I know for fantasy, it's always been Kittle or Kelce and Andrews, but you ever see anytime anyone's ever asked Travis Kelce who the best NFL tight end is for actual NFL, he says every single time it's George Kittle, and it's not even close.
Yep, so. It's Kittle. I think that's the takeaway that people say struggle with is when you talk about a guy who does it all, it's Kittle. Also, we don't want Bowers doing the Kittle role because Kittle has been severely injured his entire career. By the way, Kittle in 2018 led the league in yak. Like he was doing what Debo did. Like Kittle was a freak. Go watch his 2018 team. It's just absurd. If Bowers can do that route running stuff and be that difference-making weapon in offense, he's going to be awesome. It's just similar to Kittle early in his career. It's a terrible quarterback situation. Sorry, Gardner Minshew, young boy. But yeah, it's similar to what the 49ers were rolling out back in the day. So yeah, I have a little bit issues with that.
All right, so let's get into it then. We're going to, like I said, we're going to start with size here. Got a grade on a curve, I guess so. Brock Bowers checks in at 6'3", 243, which isn't small. I get that. But as far as tight ends go, it's on the medium spectrum at best, medium to small. Jonathon Brooks, on the other hand, is 6 feet and 216. So 3 inches and like 27 pounds lighter. You're wondering, how does Jonathon Brooks win the size comparison? Well, because 6 feet 216 is a pretty damn big running back. 6'3", 243 is on the smaller side of tight end. And like we've seen pictures of him with who was it? Gronk. And I get it. Gronk's a fucking giant, but like Bowers, that's the concern for Bowers, is that he's small for a tight end or medium at best. Whereas Brooks is a pretty damn big guy for a running back. So I gave this one to Brooks relative to their position. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm actually with you. Brooks is more fits the prototype. I'd say you're in pass running backs, you're looking maybe 220 pounds, so maybe there's a couple of pounds lighter. But yeah, Bowers is a little bit shorter and a little bit smaller. So if we're looking for prototype size, which I don't think we really should be looking for that for Bowers, but yeah, if you want to pick one for size, it's Brooks.
Yeah, like you're splitting hairs because, sorry, Jeremy, but it's like it's cool. Splitting hairs, it's typically 6'4", 6'5", 250 pounds is what you want in a tight end. So you're not missing by much, but it's technically undersized. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that was going to be my entire point, is like, this is the new prototype of the tight end in the NFL, right? Not everyone is 6'6", 6'7", like a Pitts or like a, who's the monster in Indy. I think they have a couple of
Jelani Woods
or Moali monsters over there, right? Not everybody is the albatross, coming out of Florida State. Why can't I think of his name? Johnny Wilson, right?
So that's a receiver.
But listen, 6'3", 6'4" is exactly what we want. About 250 is exactly what we want from a tight end. That said, I agree. But you can look at him in Bowers as a slot receiver, right? If you think about that in terms of how he's going to be deployed as a big slot, or how we hope he's going to be deployed for fantasy football, I mean, things look a little bit different. I think it's a lot closer, but sure, let's give it to Brooks. Why not?
But in the end, his lack of size, I guess, being just slightly smaller could work to his benefit, because if he was 6'5", 250, maybe he does play the Kittle role, which you don't get points for blocks. You don't get points when they're on the IR with an injury. So maybe him being slightly smaller will just be like a Gesicki role, where it's like, fuck it, he's out there and he's pass catching. He's not blocking at all. And like you said, let Michael Mayer take the bullet for this one. So RIP Michael Mayer.
Don't put that Mike Gesicki evil on.
You know what I mean? Mike Gesicki doesn't block. He's out there as a glorified receiver in the slot.
He doesn't catch anything either, because they don't throw it to his hammer.
Well, okay, so it didn't work out. I'm just theoretically. All right, speed. Once again, we're going to grade this as far as percentiles for their position. Brock Bowers ran a 4.48, which is freaking insane for a tight end. 98th percentile. Obviously, neither of these ran at the combine, so these are past scores from past outings at college. Some are even high school. But so Bowers estimated 4.48, 98th percentile. Brooks, on the other hand, is a 4.45, so 0.03 seconds faster, but only 82nd percentile for a running back. So both have pretty good speed, but whereas one has great speed for a running back, one has elite speed for a tight end, and that's why I gave this one to Bowers. Speed's not a concern for either, but speed is a fucking factor here for Bowers.
Yeah, I think, well, for like, I don't know if Brooks runs a 4.45. I know we talk about that. I think he's closer to 4.5, a little bit above that, but speed's not how Brooks wins at all. Like, that's not his game. It's more like short area quickness and all this fun stuff. Yeah, Bowers is a true like speed asset. Like, he's a different type of player. So yeah, 100%. I give this to Bowers. Like, it's not even close for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're talking about fantasy football. Do we want the RB1 in this class, or do we want the potential tight end 1 for the next 15 years? Give me Brock Bowers and his elite speed at the position.
All right, the next category is route running. I gave this kind of just a straight upgrade. It wasn't really on a curve. They're both pass catching. Pass catching's pass catching. You know, I get one's a running back, one's a tight end. They're not receivers, but for the most part, it's a lot of short to intermediate targets. Neither's really. I guess Bowers has the potential to be a better elite threat, or a deep threat, but it's not really what he's the best at. He's more I found Bowers was best in the medium area of the field, but Bowers for me wins this category. Graded out almost flawless in his route running. I had him at a 93 on short routes, 98 on medium, 91 on deep. Brooks I had in the low to mid 70s across the board. So I had Bowers, like I said, for a tight end, damn near flawless. He's really like as close to a route running savant, you know, very precise as you'll get for tight end. Whereas Brooks is another one where I think Brooks is a running back who can catch some passes. I don't necessarily think he's a pass catching running back. So this one for me was another easy Brock Bowers win.
I actually think Brooks is probably the better running back pass catcher in this class. Like he's the one guy of all the running backs I think is going to be an impactful running back in the passing game. But yeah, Bowers is the true cheat code of the passing game. So I think, you know, you're comparing the two on scales, but yeah, I give it to Bowers.
Yeah, we don't know if Bryce Young is going to be able to utilize him as a mobile quarterback. You know, I think he really needs to, since he's like 5'3.5" and can't see anything more than 5 yards downfield. He's really going to need to start learning how to check down. But yeah, I'm giving it to Bowers too. I mean, I don't care who's behind center. You got Devontae Adams on one side, you got Jacoby on the other. Those guys are running free and wide open. You have to account for all these guys in the passing game. Brock Bowers is going to have the middle of the field all to himself, short area, intermediate, and even deep down the seam. It's going to be Brock Bowers. It already is, and it's going to continue to be.
Next category is a little bit more of the same. It's hands. Both of them I thought graded out right around an A, like pretty solid. I had Bowers in the 80 to 84 range, Brooks in the high 70s. I just like Bowers. I thought he was a little bit more reliable as a pass catcher. I get it. He's a little bit bigger body, probably just overall was a better receiver for me, which is no surprise. He's more of a receiver than a running back would be. But who did you think had better hands out of Bowers and Brooks?
I mean, I think Bowers is a pass catching weapon, so I think he's just better. I don't know what happened to Jeremy, but he disappeared. But yeah, Bowers. Like I'm taking him in the pass catching abilities, using his hands out there.
What the hell happened to him?
I don't know. He disappeared.
He
couldn't take it anymore.
Oh no, he said I think he has a kid he said was coming home, or so he was expecting someone to come home and he had to answer the door. So he did mention that to me. I just didn't. I was on the other page looking at the actual stats we're reading off here, and he just kind of disappeared to me. But this one's pretty much easy. We can move on. Next one's college production. It gets tough, obviously, comparing tight end production to running back production. But for his entire body of work, I think Bowers speaks for himself here. In 3 years at Georgia, like I said, he put up the best production we've seen from a tight end probably ever. His worst season was 56 catches, 714, and 6 touchdowns, while his best season was 63 catches, 942 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Although his career in touchdowns came as a freshman with 13. On the flip side, Brooks put up one solid season out of his time in Texas, 1,139 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns. A solid stat line, but just overall, Bowers was consistent for longer and just more high-end production here. I gave it to Bowers.
Yeah, it's interesting enough if you compare Brooks's 23 season to Bijan's 22 season. They're almost identical, and Brooks actually had more targets and receptions than Bijan, like per game basis. The rushing yards is a little bit in Bijan's favor, but like missed tackles 4, yards per attempt, they're basically identical. So I think we're underselling how good Brooks was. And I mean, he was behind one of the best running backs we've seen in the longest time. So he really didn't get a chance to play. So it's kind of hard to really give him the case over Bowers. You can't, because Bowers has quite possibly the greatest tight end production profile we've ever seen.
I have, in case you've noticed, I booted you out of the editor. I had to change that. It was driving me absolutely insane. I didn't change it over to Brock Bowers here. It says Brian Thomas in that one. I looked at it, I was like, oh, that's going to drive me fucking nuts. So if you wondered why you suddenly got kicked out, that's
Oh, no, you're good. I was just reading it. That was funny.
But now the problem is I can't find because we're on the wrong damn screen. So sorry, bear with me. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I'm just saving again. All right, next category we'll go to is college dominator. Brooks posted a college dominator of 29.3 against a 27.2 for Bowers. So I gave this one to Brooks. Different positions here. I found this one kind of interesting, and I noted it because I thought Brooks had more competition for overall, touches and whatnot. Whereas I thought Bowers, it was basically him and McConkey. So I was more surprised that Bowers wasn't a higher dominator rating than Brooks. But what did you think here?
Yeah, I mean, they also had A.D. Mitchell previously, right? Time there. Like, they've had some decent wide receivers, but Georgia's offense is just weird with receivers. And that's basically what Bowers was. He was receiver in that offense. He was basically the receiver. So it's really hard with the Georgia offense to kind of take away everything on a one-for-one basis just because they do stuff pretty uniquely and they split all the carries and stuff. By the way, say hi to the person in the background. But I think Brooks actually had a really good, like last year was his breakout year. And I mean, you're fighting with Roshan and Bijan, so it's tough to really get that out. So yeah, I would slightly give it to Brooks too.
Jeremy all of a sudden has 9 kids in his background. He's running
there's a big party here. What Jesse said. Give me Bowers. I don't know if that's what he said, but that's what
That's probably the most intelligent thing he's ever said on the show.
So. Hey, how about that?
All right. I like to talk shit while he's on mute and can't defend himself. But we'll end it here with landing spot and draft capital. Bowers went 13th overall, so he wins this one, obviously, over Brooks, who went 46th, which is a second-round pick. Nothing to see there. Landing spot is the interesting one. We have Bowers going to the Raiders, which isn't the most optimal situation. Brooks, I like his landing spot more going to the Panthers. I didn't really know what to say here. In the end, I gave it to Bowers because he wins obviously in draft capital, and the landing spot I thought was negligibly better for Brooks. So I went Bowers, but what do you think here on landing spot and draft capital? If you can spare a few minutes from your day camp there, Jeremy.
Well, yeah. All right. We'll see. I think I have a minute, maybe. So look, Brock Bowers, we don't love the landing spot, but we love the player, and we love the player pre-process as well. Jonathon Brooks got a little bit vaulted because of how early he was taken and where he ended up in terms of the competition. Brock Bowers was dinged a little bit because of that competition, but we know Jacoby Myers is at least 27, maybe 28 years old. We know Devontae Adams is well over 30 at this point. All right. Pretty soon here in the next year or two, Brock Bowers has a real opportunity to be the number one target for an elite quarterback, depending on who comes in. So I'm going to give the edge to Bowers, even though I think Jonathon Brooks has a real chance to take over the job by mid-season in Carolina and run with it for the next, unintended, I guess, for the next 4 or 5 years here. But I'm still going to go Bowers.
I think he wins it out of training camp.
Yep, me too. He's by far he's the most complete running back on the roster. Like, they've already talked about his versatility. They want to give him space. Dave Canales, he offers them something that no other running back on that roster could do. So, like, the competition is pretty minimal as far as running back landing spots. And mid-second round, that's really good for a running back. So I'm not worried about it. I actually give this win to Brooks over Bowers. Like, I much prefer that.
Fair.
All right. Well, decision time. You were on the clock at presumably the 108. Who is your pick here? Is it Brock Bowers? Is it Jonathon Brooks?
I'm going to take Bowers. Oh, sorry. I'm going to take, Brooks. I'm taking Brooks here. I think what you're getting is a true impact running back asset, and that is a dying breed in Dynasty. Like, I have him at the RB8. So I'm getting the 108, I'm getting the RB8, and I don't want to play the waiting game with Bowers. Like, it might be a few years where we do this. We did this with Pitts, or possibly do this with other guys like McBride. It took 2 years. We're still waiting on Kincaid to tribute that asset. So instead of playing the waiting game, if you want the impact asset, you can trade Bowers for one of the top 5 picks and go get the high impact tight end, like even Andrews if you want to. For Brooks, like, I'm getting the guy now that's going to impact my roster and help me be a winning edge. So, like, I'm just going to take Brooks there and not worry about the struggles that have come along with Bowers. Even though I think Bowers is an incredible player, he's going to be a high impact asset for a long time. For these next 4 or 5 years, it would not surprise me to see Brooks significantly outscore Bowers each season.
Yeah, but it's Bowers for me. Just overall at the 108, I'm just taking the guy who has the opportunity to be the tight end one. I don't see Jonathon Brooks being the RB1 at all. He can be a perennial mid-range RB1. He can fall into what we hope Rachaad White is going to do for the next few years if he continues to get no competition. Brooks is a little bit more skilled. We don't know what's going to happen after the ACL, but give me Bowers here.
Wow, this is not where I thought we would end up. I am also going with Brooks. I don't like a first round tight end, and it's like I said, if you're in a rebuild, the pick is Bowers, but I think I would rather have the immediate possibility of a running back one as opposed to the tight end. Especially, I know we say this every year, but tight end actually for a change looks like it's deeper overall because of how good last year's rookie class is. And I think Bowers is going to be good and probably better long term, but for the purposes of this one, I think I've made this decision on the clock. I think you made Bowers was gone for you, but you went Brooks as well. So
I took Bowers in our one league because that team I am absolutely tanking. But then I ended up getting Brooks a few picks later, so I got both of the guys. Interestingly enough, the coach that was Rashad White's coach, Dave Canales, who loves feeding his running backs. Ken Walker and Seattle, same thing. So he's going to absolutely give Brooks all he can handle in that offense. So I think if you need someone to be a true impact asset the next 2-3 years, like you go Brooks and you live with it. If you want the rebuild, take Bowers.
Yep.
All right, and that concludes today's fantasy face-off. We had Brooks as the pick over Bowers. Check back tomorrow for the next in our series. Not sure who it. Not sure who it is, but it'll be 2 running backs. Brock Bowers, no matter what. Thank you all for tuning in. Like, follow, subscribe, comment, rate, review, all that fun stuff anywhere you can. We will see you again tomorrow. Take care, everyone.